And we're
Thank you for
live.
being here tonight. Dreams and healing. You know, we have been searching for the answers in life to our dreams all the way back to ancient Egypt 4,000 years ago with Imhotep, you know, the mummy that we hear about all the time. And he was high priest to the sun god Ra and ancient Greece's Asclepian dreaming temples. So why we choose to dream is still one of the behavioral science's greatest unanswered questions. Are our dreams just random images that are being fired from an unconscious brain during sleep, or something much more important like maybe life-saving messages from another realm, perhaps even heaven? Well, welcome to the Kanavos Show, where we explore dreams, dreaming, life, death, and much more. I'm your co-host and Dreams That Can Save Your Life, Early Warning Signs of Cancer and Other Diseases, written with Duke University radiologist Dr. Larry Burke, and published and distributed by Findhorn Inner Traditions, and the host of the Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos Show. So our guest tonight is Kenya Aissa, and she's here to talk about the sacred girl and cultivating self-awareness to follow your dreams. Welcome to the show, Kenya.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here talking to you.
So, Kenya, can you hold up your book, Sacred Girl, Spiritual Life Skills for Consciousness and Young Women? What a beautiful book. Now, what made you decide to write this book? Because I love it. I think it's got great information in it.
Thank you so much. I wrote this book, or I decided to write this book many years ago, 18 or so years ago, because I had been working with young girls, adolescent girls at a residential rehab facility here in Northern California. And I did a spirituality group with them because a lot of them had been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. They had a substance abuse component to their treatment, and I was needing something deeper, something more to help them reach their goals and reach their treatment goals. Mm-hmm. But there were so many challenges with this population of girls that some of the traditional ways of working with them just wasn't enough. Mm-hmm. So spirituality is something I had always been interested in. I'd been studying it for many years. I had many books on spirituality, specifically women's spirituality. And so I brought all of that into my work with the girls I was working with. And since then, it has kind of snowballed in a lot of ways, and a lot of older women of all ages are connecting to the basic message in the book. So it's been great.
Yeah, because in your book you talk about how to develop spiritual self-reliance at any age. That's so important. I mean, it's never too late. You can always do it. It's always important. Your life will be enriched by it. So how would you suggest we go about doing that if we have not done it yet?
That's a great question. And one of the things I talk about in Sacred Girl is that the word spirit means to breathe. In Latin, the Latin term spirare, it means to breathe, and it really means what makes your spirit breathe. And so what any person would do, in my opinion, and from the work that I've done, is start to explore that part of yourself. What makes you breathe? What makes you happy and satisfied and content and excited for life, really, on a deeper level than a lot of the things that we usually think of that make us happy and excited, like a new pair of shoes, which, by the way, will always make me excited. But it's got to go a little deeper than that if we're talking about life. You know what I mean? And so that, for a lot of people, is an area that needs to be really explored, because it's not something I think that is really spirituality or getting to know yourself on a really deep level isn't something that's always fostered in our society, because we are so busy trying to be on the hamster wheel of life, and we're so busy trying to make ends meet and pay our bills, et cetera, that we don't stop to breathe. We don't stop to take an assessment of that part of ourselves. And it's an extremely critical part of our inner beings,
It really is. I remember when I'm a 3-time breast cancer survivor, and when I was diagnosed a second time, Kenya, I couldn't breathe. It's like I kept finding that I was getting dizzy, and then I'd suddenly realize that I wasn't breathing. And just taking that step back when we're stressed, and taking that deep breath in and feeding our soul with the breath of life is just so important. So I want to talk about cultivating self-awareness to follow your dreams. How can we do that? I'm all about dreams.
Yes. And so am I. So I'm so glad to talk to you about that. I think that it is something that, especially we as women, I'm sure you're going to understand what I'm saying here, that we don't let anything get in the way, right, of what we feel really feeds us spiritually, emotionally, because it's very easy to let those things get in the way. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to write a book for younger girls. Now, a lot of people have connected to it, but my original population, my original target audience was really younger women, so that this is something that a message that can get to them really early. Because I think a lot of times we get to our late 20s, early 30s, sometimes even 40s, and we're like, this is where I'm going to start following my dreams. This is where, my kids are grown, or this or that. And instead, I feel like that's just too late. I feel like it's important to start really acknowledging what it is that makes your spirit breathe, what it is that makes you come alive, and cultivating that so much sooner. It's, and I think there's a lot of fear and not a lot of encouragement in our society to allow women to just open up and be who they really are, because we're placed in a box from a very early age. And so, part of the goal of this book, and that particular section that you're talking about, is really allowing yourself to explore that, and not just exploring it, but cultivating it, but feeding it, so that you can grow in that area of your life, and don't let anything stop you from growing, because it is your life, And so...
Yeah, I think that when we stop growing, we kind of cease to exist, and it's really, really important to keep our minds growing along with our soul while we're on the earth plane. And so, if you had one piece of advice that you would have adults give to girls. What contemporary girls need from the adults in their life, what would it be? That's probably the best way to put it. What do they need to hear from us?
They need to hear from us that they are worthy, that they are powerful, that their voice needs to be heard. Not just that they have a right to speak their voice, or they have a right to speak their truth, but that it's crucial in our society for that to happen. We've seen a lot of things happen, like with young people in the Me Too movement, and all the young people that are working towards or fighting for gun control and all these other things. These young girls are making a huge difference. It's amazing. It's unbelievable. And I'm thrilled, of course, that that's happening. Not that it needs to happen. I'm not thrilled that it's something that needs to happen, but this world needs that from them. And we have spent hundreds of years listening to and honoring the things that men want or that men think and men's ideas. And I'm not saying anything negative about that, but we have our own voices, and sometimes they're very different than what men are thinking or feeling in our society. And it's really crucial for girls to speak their truth, be available to that, to when they're questioned or when they're, when somebody is talking to them about anything, to just open up and be honest and truthful and not live in fear of that their voice is not going to be honored as well. And I think that's the best thing that adults can give young girls today, is a platform and just the support. I know when I was a young girl, if somebody just said, I'm going to support you in what you want to do, what you want to say. And I did have somebody like that in my life, which was amazing, because it's not a popular thing to allow young girls to speak their truth. It's still not popular,
In some countries, it's a death sentence.
It certainly is. It certainly is, And so I think that's the biggest thing that we can do for our young people today.
Mm-hmm. So Kenya, tell us, how can we find your book and how can we find you?
So my book is easy to find. It's on Amazon. And if you look up Sacred Girl, you can type in the whole title, of course, Sacred Girl, Spiritual Life Skills for Conscious Young Women. But if you just put in Sacred Girl and then my name, Kenya Aissa, my last name, of course, is Aissa. So I know that's a little different, but you can find it on Amazon. And as far as finding me, I'm on Instagram under Ruby Envy, and my book Instagram is Sacred Girl Book on Instagram. And I'm also on Facebook as Ruby Envy as well.
Oh, thank you. I was wondering what that Ruby Envy was. I had that in your email. So, thank you so much, Kenya, for being here with us tonight. And thank you, audience, for joining us on the Cat Kanavos Show Live, which is archived on the Cat Kanavos Show Facebook page by the same name. And this show will be made into an article for Biz Catalyst 360, which you can find on my website at Kathleen O'Keefe Cannabis or the Queen of Dreams. And if you've had any dreams that came true and wish to share them, email them to me at katkan, Katkan, at Comcast.net, and put True Dream in the subject line, because Dr. Larry Burke and I are working on the second book. So until next time, remember, everyone dreams, but some dreams save lives. Thank you so much, Kenya Aissa.